Hey everyone, back with just a really quick 5-minute video today. This is on my VGA splitter. I had a bit of an issue with it over last month. I came home from work to smell this odd electrical burning smell, and sure enough, after some investigations, found it was the power supply to the VGA splitter. The bit of tape that you see around the supply there is just from me opening the power supply out to see what had melted inside, and just to try and keep the two halves together while I found a suitable replacement power supply. So I have a feeling that some internal component failure, of course, probably obvious, happened. Either some capacitors had overheated and dried out and went direct short, or a voltage regulator or something like that, or a diode. The board is very charred, warped, and all the capacitors have vented. It smells extremely bad, and actually left a slight little burn mark on my carpet where the power supply was sitting. So the VGA splitter is actually rated for New Zealand voltages, so our input power here is 230-240 volts at the mains, so the power supply does supposedly support that. I did import this from the US, and I did notice that since I've owned it, which is now 2 or 3 years, that the power supply does get a bit warm for this unit. So yeah, something definitely failed. So what I'm going to do is I've cut the ends off, which you just seen there, of the cables, and I'm going to wire it up to this generic multi-voltage power supply, which was a throw out from work. This used to run some old school coaxial CCTV cameras. It's been in service probably for about a decade, but it looks good as gold. And the zip tie is because I decided to open up the power supply to see if there's anything in there that could cause an issue on my replacement, and one of the plastic standoffs decided to break off, so just throw a zip tie around it just to make sure it's not going anywhere. So yeah, what I'm going to do is just tin the wires for the splitter, just so they the copper cable or whatever it is inside of the cord there doesn't deteriorate when I screw the terminals down. Really, ideally, I'd have some banana jacks, but where I live, there are no electronics stores for me to go into to buy any of that. I'd have to go to a bigger city, and I don't know what size they are, so I'd like to be able to just go in and compare the sizes. So anyway, that's why I'm doing it this way for the time being, at least. But yeah, the replacement power supply works a treat, and I've verified there isn't any shorts on these wires that I'm tinning, just in case something internally of the splitter has shorted. It's always good to check that. But yeah, we'll just tin these up anyway, get it all put back together and in service, because this splitter works a lot better than the replacement one, which I temporarily picked up as a backup. It's very noisy, the replacement unit, has a lot of lines in the image, stuff like that. This one actually worked pretty good, and I think with a better working power supply there should be even even less noise, so reduced noise in the image. So yeah, turn them up, get it all wired back together, and we'll give it a test. At this point, I'm just using my multimeter in continuity mode just to find the correct terminal or wire for the negative side. Of course, I don't want to mix those up. I don't want to create another fire risk. I'm not really happy with doing the terminals like this. I know it will work, as I call it, temporary permanent. Yeah, as I said, I'll need to try and track down some banana jacks or something, just so I can plug the leads directly in there without, the wires coming off. They will fatigue, I guess, over time, but thankfully this unit doesn't move around much. So yeah, just going to get these pushed through. It was a little bit harder with the solder on the wire. It was a little bit thicker in some places, of course. Overdid it a bit there, but wrap the wire around the terminal and screw it down, and yeah, looks mint. at this point now I'm just going to plug the unit back in just to do a quick smoke test. I'm sure I wired it up correctly. I'm an expert, not really, but yeah, I'll just throw an extension cord onto it just to isolate it a little bit, and yeah, see if it works. And thankfully, as the CRT slowly warms up, we have a image. So at this point I've already verified this, but without anything plugged in, but under load we've still got the correct voltage, 9 volts. The unit has been running in service now for about 2 weeks, so I've been checking on it and there's no hotness or anything on the replacement power supply, so yeah, looking much better. The replacement unit that I had fitted in my last video on any captures I did looked pretty terrible, lots of lines in the image just over everything, but yeah, I mean, this is 640 by 480, so it's about as good as it's going to look, but yeah, looking a lot better, so really happy to have this unit back in service. Anyway, that's it, just a real quick one, quick little repair, and yeah, working a treat. Alrighty, catch you guys soon.